It was a late evening in the gleaming tower of Nexus Enterprises when Jamal Carter, a cleaner earning minimum wage, overheard a conversation that would change everything. He didn't mean to eavesdrop, but the words he caught from the CEO's closest confidant were chilling. Plans that could ruin lives, including his own. Against every instinct, Jamal decided to warn the Billionaire CEO, Victor Marshall, about his so-called friend. What happened the next day left the entire city in shock. Jamal Carter pushed his cleaning cart down the sleek, marble-floor hallway of Nexus Enterprises headquarters. The building was a monument to wealth, its towering glass walls reflecting the city's skyline. At 11 p.m., the 35th floor was quiet, save for the hum of the vacuum cleaner and the occasional ping of an elevator in the distance. Jamal, a 42-year-old black man with a lean build and tired eyes, had worked the night shift for 3 years. He wasn't one to complain, though. The job paid the bills barely and kept him and his daughter, Aisha, afloat in their small apartment in Brooklyn. That night, Jamal was wiping down the glass doors of the executive conference room when he heard voices. It wasn't unusual. Late-night meetings were common in a company like Nexus, a tech giant that dominated the AI industry. Victor Marshall, the 50-year-old CEO, was known for burning the midnight oil. But something about these voices made Jamal pause. They were low, urgent, almost secretive. He glanced through the glass, careful not to be seen. 2 men sat at the far end of the conference table, Victor Marshall and his longtime friend and business partner, Ethan Caldwell. Ethan, a wiry man with sharp features and a tailored suit, leaned forward, his voice barely above a whisper. Jamal couldn't catch every word, but fragments drifted through the glass. Victor, it's the only way stock prices regulators won't notice. Trust me. Jamal's stomach tightened. He was a finance guy, but he'd heard enough office gossip to know Nexus was under scrutiny for some shady deals. Ethan's tone wasn't reassuring. It was calculating. Jamal moved to the next door, pretended to clean, but his ears stayed sharp. Victor's voice came next, hesitant. Ethan, this feels risky. If it backfires, we're done. Ethan laughed, a sound that sent a chill down Jamal's spine. It won't backfire, Vic. I've got it handled. Just sign off on the transfer tomorrow. Jamal's rag froze on the glass. Transfer? He didn't know much about corporate games, but he knew enough to recognize trouble. His mind raced. Should he just walk away? This wasn't his business. He was just a cleaner, invisible to the suits who ran this place. But something gnawed at him. He'd seen Victor Marshall in passing. Always polite, always gnawing at Jamal, like he was more than just a help. Victor didn't seem like the type to play dirty, but Ethan? Jamal had heard rumors about Ethan's side deals, whispers of offshore accounts and questionable partnerships. By the time Jamal finished his shift at 2 a.m., his thoughts were a storm. He clocked out, rode the subway home, and sat in his cramped living room, staring at the peeling paint on the walls. Aisha, his 16-year-old daughter, was asleep in the next room. She was the reason he kept going, the reason he worked nights and took extra shifts. If Nexus went down because of whatever Ethan was planning, Jamal's job could vanish. And with it, Aisha's chance at college. The next morning, Jamal made a decision. He couldn't stay silent. He didn't have proof, just a gut feeling in those overheard words. But he had to try. He arrived at Nexus early, before his shift, and waited outside Victor's office. The receptionist, a young woman named Claire, gave him a curious look. "You're not supposed to be up here, Jamal," she said, not unkindly. "I need to see Mr. Marshall," Jamal replied, his voice steady despite the knot in his chest. "It's important." Claire hesitated, then buzzed Victor's office. To Jamal's surprise, Victor agreed to see him. The CEO's office was a world apart from the cleaning closets Jamal knew. Plush carpets, a mahogany desk, and a view that stretched across Manhattan. Victor, tall and broad-shouldered with graying hair, looked up from his laptop. "Jamal, right? What's on your mind?" Jamal took a deep breath. He felt small, out of place, but he pushed forward. "Sir, I overheard something last night. Mr. Caldwell was talking about a transfer, something about stock prices and regulators. I don't know the details, but it didn't sound right. I thought you should know." Victor's face didn't change, but his eyes narrowed slightly. "You're sure about this?" he asked. "I'm sure what I heard," Jamal said. "I don't know what it means, but I figured you want to know if someone's playing games behind your back." Victor leaned back in his chair, studying Jamal. For a moment, the room was silent. Then Victor nodded. "Thank you, Jamal. I'll look into it. You did the right thing." Jamal left the office, his heart pounding. He wasn't sure if he'd done the right thing or just signed his own pink slip. He went about his day, cleaning floors and emptying trash cans, but his mind kept replaying the conversation. Had he overstepped? Would Victor even take him seriously? The next day, the news broke. Nexus Enterprises was in chaos. Federal agents swarmed the headquarters, their black SUVs clogging the street outside. Reporters crowded the lobby, shouting questions. Jamal arrived for his shift to find the building locked down, employees whispering in huddled groups. He caught snippets of conversation. Insider trading, millions in offshore accounts. Ethan Caldwell arrested. Jamal's knees went weak. Ethan? Arrested? He ducked into the break room, where a TV blared news. A reporter's voice filled the air. Ethan Caldwell, longtime friend and business partner of Nexus CEO Victor Marshall, was taken into custody this morning on charges of insider trading and fraud. Sources say an anonymous tip led to the discovery of encrypted files detailing illegal stock manipulations. Jamal's heart raced. Anonymous tip. Could that have been him? He hadn't given Victor any files, just a warning. But maybe that was enough to make Victor dig deeper. He pulled out his phone and scrolled through the news. The headlines were relentless. Nexus scandal rocks Wall Street. Billionaire's right-hand man betrayed trust. One article mentioned Victor's swift cooperation with authorities, turning over evidence that sealed Ethan's fate. As Jamal cleaned the executive floor that night, he noticed something different. The employees who usually ignored him nodded in his direction. Claire, the receptionist, even smiled and said, "Heard you're the hero around here." Jamal brushed it off, but the word stuck with him. Hero? He was just a guy doing what felt right. Days turned into weeks, and the scandal unfolded. Ethan's trial dominated the news. Prosecutors revealed a web of deceit. Fake shell companies, doctored financial reports, and millions siphoned into offshore accounts. Victor testified against Ethan, his face grim as he recounted how he'd trusted his friend for decades. Jamal watched it all from the sidelines, never mentioned by name but knowing he'd played a part. One evening, as Jamal was finishing his shift, Victor called him into his office again. The CO looked tired, the weight of the scandal etched into his face. "Jamal," he said, "I owe you. That tip you gave our compliance team was a start. It led us to Ethan's files. If you hadn't spoken up, this could have destroyed the company." Jamal shifted uncomfortably. "I just did what I thought was right, sir." Victor smiled, a rare sight these days. "You did more than that. You saved a lot of people's jobs, including mine." He slid an envelope across the desk. "This is for you and your daughter, a scholarship fund for her college. And I'm promoting you to facilities supervisor. It comes with a raise." Jamal stared at the envelope, his throat tight. "I don't know what to say, sir." "You don't have to say anything," Victor replied. "Just keep being you." Jamal left the office, the envelope clutched in his hand. For the first time in years, he felt a weight lift. Aisha's future was brighter now, and maybe his was too. The city moved on, the scandal fading into background, but Jamal never forgot that night. The night he took a chance and changed everything.